This image is nightmare fuel for Caitlin Clark's haters, because they know everything just changed. Let me explain. They thought they had Caitlin on the ropes. She was struggling. She was out of action, and the Fever were floundering without her. They thought Diana Taurasi's reality is coming. Prophecy was finally coming true. They smelled blood and started getting in their petty jabs. But the Fever's Commissioner's Cup win flipped the script. Nobody saw it coming, especially ESPN, who absolutely humiliated themselves. I'll get to them in a moment. This win transformed the landscape for Caitlin and the Fever for the rest of the season in 3 important ways. I'll explain in this video. But if we've learned anything, it's that the more success Caitlin has, the more the war on her and the Fever intensifies. And Caitlin's statement after the game? Just wait. It'll end up being a prophecy. Let's get right into what happened, the reaction from the haters, and what to expect going forward. But first, drop a trophy in the comments to celebrate the Fever's win. So, first things first, this is what Fever fans expected at the start of the year, but virtually nobody expected it heading into the Commissioner's Cup Finals. The Fever started the year being touted as championship contenders. They brought in big-name free agents. They had the Now You Know campaign that basically said, we run this league, and you can pound sand if you don't like it. And of course, they had Caitlin Clark, who came back jacked and ready to take her game to the next level. They started with a bang, obliterating the sky in front of 2.7 million viewers. But then things got messy. The hate speech investigation, Caitlin's 5-game injury, Dana pulling a Peter Gibbons from Office Space and deciding she'd stop working but continue to collect a paycheck. And when we thought things had gotten back to normal after Caitlin's legendary return against Liberty, the next game was Gladiator Night at Gamebridge, with MMA Mabry and UFC JC taking their best shots at Caitlin, while the ref basically gave them suggestions. Then Caitlin got injured in garbage time against the Storm, keeping her out of the Commissioner's Cup. So yeah, when you add it all up, the Fever were not supposed to beat the Lynx. So much so that during the game, ESPN had one of the biggest cell phones of all time.
ESPN posted, I think around the 3rd quarter, at least that's when I was notified about it, that the Lynx dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup. And I took a screenshot. This is totally my screenshot, so I went and I verified this because I just couldn't believe it.
I verified this too. They left it up all game and only changed the title after it was over. Insane. Anyway, without Caitlin, the team stepped up and showed what they were made of. They were down early, but then went on an 18-0 run and never looked back. They got great individual performances, including Natasha Howard, who said she wanted to be MVP, and gosh darn it, it happened. Now that's manifestation at work. The Fever pulled an Uno reverse on ESPN. They dominated the Lynx in their own barn, without Caitlin Clark playing, and the haters proceeded to lose their minds. Not just because the Fever won, but because Caitlin, while not playing, won a championship.
The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her.
You see, the go-to knock against Caitlin was that she hadn't won a championship. That's what kept her out of ESPN's top 5 college players of all time list, despite rewriting the record book and carrying a mid-team to the finals twice. Even though the whole rivalry with Angel Reese is stupid at this point, because they're not in the same Galaxy talent or impact-wise, they use Caitlin's lack of a title pair with Angel's championship with LSU and Unrivaled to say Angel is superior because she's a quote-unquote winner. It's been the haters' crutch. And now, with this Commissioner's Cup win, it's gone. But of course, if you ask the haters, it doesn't count. Not only are they saying it's not a real championship, they're saying that because Caitlin didn't play in the final game, it doesn't count anyway. This is garbage logic. For one reason alone.
They did win the final without her. But it's not like she's Nikola Topic or anything. The only reason they got to the final was because she had a 32-point near triple-double against the New York Liberty. They beat the previously undefeated New York Liberty after a Caitlin Clark masterclass in a game no one thought they were going to win.
Caitlin was the reason they got there. She played lights-out ball against the Liberty and made a significant impact in the game against the Sun. But the award for saltiest tears goes to those saying the game was rigged.
The real fans, all right? Capitalize the real fans of the W will find out what backroom deal you two made to have the Lynx throw this game. Not even cracking 60 points. That isn't even believable. to the most naked eye. When we find out, we're coming for your jobs. Full force.
What's funny about this is the selective logic. These are the same people who celebrated the hell out of Angel Reese's unrivaled championship, which is professional championship, but not the same format as the WNBA. And get this, Angel not only didn't play in the final, she wasn't even in the building, but that didn't stop her, the fans, or the media from celebrating her win, creating graphics congratulating her on a championship, and using it to tear down Caitlin Clark. Because now Angel had 2 chips to Caitlin's 0. But Caitlin playing a critical role in getting the Fever to the final of a WNBA in-season championship, with prize money on the line, doesn't count because she didn't play in the final and it was rigged. Sure, Jan, but here's where the haters are absolutely shaking. The Fever won on the big stage without Caitlin. They beat the Lynx, the best team in the league, who were 14-2 at the time. And they did it in their arena, which, yes, is basically Carver North because of all the Fever and Iowa fans who showed up. But whatever, it's still a road win. And it's proof of concept. All those leaders brought in for big moment situations came through when it mattered most. Again, Natasha Howard was a beast. Sophie was clutch. Add that to the great seasons Aaliyah and Lexi are having. And there's a lot to like right now. Are they perfect? Nope. Are we allowed to complain about coaching? Yes. That's what fans do. But things are heading in the right direction. Remember how I said this wouldn't change the Fever's fortunes in 3 ways? Here's how. First, it takes the edge off this team. As they say, winning solves everything. And while Sophie recently said the team was on their own islands, nothing gets everyone together like a championship, even if it's not the big one. They had to beat the 2 top teams, the Liberty and the Lynx. I wouldn't expect perfection going forward, but the swagger is back. It looks like they've weathered the storm. And with Ari McDonald in the mix permanently, they're much more dynamic than when they had Bonner the Goner. Second, because the edge is off, this gives Caitlin more time to rest. There was a lot of speculation, including for me, that the Fever allowed Caitlin to play hurt to begin the season, then allowed her to come back early from injury. There's no reason the Fever can't stay in the playoff picture without Caitlin for another few games or weeks. Fans had already been begging the Fever to sit Caitlin longer to ensure she's fully healed. And I think Caitlin and the Fever will be more inclined to go this route after beating the Lynx. We immediately saw signs of this approach. Rather than making Caitlin a game-time decision, the Fever announced a day in advance that she'd be out against the Aces. And third, when Caitlin comes back 100% healthy, she'll be playing with a team that's clicking and winning games without her. With Ari McDonald here for the long haul, they can now phase Caitlin back in, rather than burn her out and risk re-injury by over-relying on her out the gate. And as a bonus, being considered contenders again, with cap space, they could snag an upgrade via trade. All of this is scary for the haters, because they smell blood. They love that Caitlin was going through a slump, and they let her know, anonymously but unanimously. Look, there are a lot of arguments out there for why the players rank Caitlin Clark the 9th best guard in All-Star voting. And yes, I know they didn't literally rank her 9th. But anyway you slice it, when you look at how teams double-team her every game, when you look at the numbers, even with injuries and some horrible outings likely due to lingering injury, this screams hit job. There's no way she's the 9th best guard.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds.
They were sending a message. And again, it looked like they had Caitlin on the ropes. But now, with the Commissioner's Cup win, which means more time to rest and a Fever team that is confident and playing better, the script's been flipped. The haters are afraid. And it's not fear of facing her. That's not it at all. They know a peak Caitlin Clark and dominant Fever team will get all the attention. Will continue to set viewership records. Will continue to draw in new fans. And while it defies logic in so many ways, many in the league don't want those fans. Here's why.
America loves her. The fans clearly love her. The media likes her. But the players can't stand her. 9th best guard in the league. Don't try to give me the excuses of, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Come on. This is insanity. And I think it's an activist vote by the women of the WNBA who simply cannot stand her success. It's so dumb and it's so childish.
Now, this isn't a new clip, but I think it helps explain the mindset. The NBA has pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into the WNBA since its inception, never seeing a return in almost 3 decades. If it wasn't for them, the W would have folded a long time ago. Last year, even with Caitlin Clark in the mix, they lost a staggering $40 million. It's like the WNBA is riding a bike with NBA training wheels. No matter how much they wobble, they stay upright. What Caitlin presented was an opportunity to remove the training wheels. But as you remember from learning to ride a bike, there are going to be spills and bruises in the process. In this case, the bruises are coming from casual fans who aren't there just to celebrate women's basketball unconditionally. They're there to be entertained, and they're going to harshly criticize players, like all sports fans do. You see it all the time with Angel Reese and her me-bounds. Back to the Lisa Leslie clip. I think a lot of players are so used to the league just continuing, regardless of financial performance, that they have 2 things. First, hubris that the league cannot fail. Second, a false sense of entitlement. If they do start turning a profit, the first priority should be paying back to investors, at least a bit, not asking for a raise. But the players don't seem to be looking at things that way. They're already talking about striking, falsely believing the casuals will come right back when it's over. They also feel like they can dump on Caitlin, and by extension her fans, and still get what they want. I actually don't think they care if the casuals come back, because they want the old WNBA back, where they weren't under as much pressure.
Ourselves to the NBA, but I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA, maybe one night y'all don't go to the casinos.
I have something on this, though, because it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I don't think there's anyone in America that supports the WNBA more than NBA players.
100%.
I have a feeling this is the case for many players. If it's not the crowds, it's the online trolls and the increased scrutiny. But then there's this.
And in talking to a source or two, it appears that Bonner was unable to, in some way, shape, or form, just deal with that spotlight, which is white hot, right? Yeah. It is just.
There are players, fans, and media who just can't stand that it's all Caitlin Clark all the time. They think they should be getting just as much attention. And it's not so much that it's one player getting all the media and fan love. It's who is getting it.
And that's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out. You're right. But you know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening on the...
All of this adds up to a Caitlin and the Fever versus the WNBA dynamic. She knows it. Her teammates know it. Just listen to what Caitlin let slip after the Commissioner's Cup win.
But it's interesting. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows? And I've said this for years. When the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like.
They are sick. They're upset. Remember, they voted her the 9th-ranked guard when she's clearly top 3. The haters are not happy. And knowing that there's no imminent reality check, that's going to force players to see the light. The hate is only going to escalate. The rough stuff on the court will continue, and the refs will likely continue to allow it. Caitlin's statement is likely prophecy, because the Fever are back in the title conversation, which means more hate.
Guys, I just know everybody in the league is sick.
The Fever are stronger after everything they've gone through, and they'll need to be, because the WNBA's soft civil war is still very much alive. It's not going anywhere. The only solution for Caitlin and the Fever is winning. The Fever have claimed the first championship of the 2025 season. Now, they need to win the next. If you like this video, drop a trophy in the comments because you've earned it for sticking around. Thanks for watching. See you next time.